Why avoidants always seem to go back to anxious exes and what to do if this is happening to you right now. You might identify as somebody who has anxious attachment, where you're preoccupied with the space in the relationship, the subtle vibrations of when someone's pulling away. You almost have a superpower of being able to detect what somebody else needs. But it also comes with a lot of anxiety. Anxiety about your relationship falling apart, anxiety about the person pulling away. Maybe you've dove deep into anxious attachment already, or this is your first time even hearing about it. If you're in a situation right now where you've got somebody who'd either ghosted you or has always seemed to keep you at arm's length, even though you guys had love for each other and connection, and now suddenly they're showing back up in your life, the point of this video is to help you get a deeper perspective to exactly what might be happening here, and also give you some tools to how to show up in this space so that if there is a new connection relationship that is possible with this person, you're not falling back into old patterns and repeating the same type of heartache all over again. If this is your first time watching my channel, my name's Clayton Olson. I'm a relationship coach, an NLP practitioner who helps people look at the deeper patterns in their life, the deeper drivers of their love life, and helps shift those so they can start to create a life they love and love that lasts. If you like the way this message is resonating with you, please subscribe, leave a comment, and be part of this YouTube community. So why do avoidants come back to anxious exes? There's deeper emotional and nervous system dynamics at play here that most people miss. How you can use this dynamic that could end up being really painful and maybe is painful right now to shift into feeling more confident and secure in yourself. And we'll talk about the deeper dynamics of what's happening there. What you must know about avoidance. So avoidants want connection, but here's the thing, they don't trust it. They don't want to avoid love, they just want to avoid vulnerability. They want to avoid being seen, being needed, being truly known. Because if they are, they're afraid of being rejected after they open up more. And most likely, if they are an avoidantly attached individual that keeps people at arm's length, there's ways in which their own emotional needs were shamed, ignored, or used against them in childhood, creating an equation inside themselves that when they can be autonomous and they can get space, that means they're safe. And if they're too close, they might have been with parents that broke boundaries and they felt engulfed, they felt obligatory love, they felt pressure, they felt like they would lose themselves in those relationships. What ends up happening when they start to get close to somebody, if they are an unhealed avoidant, is they start to run these protection strategies like ghosting people, rationalizing their emotional shutdown, perhaps dismissing you, finding problems, nitpicking you, nitpicking the relationship, pretending the relationship isn't real, or keeping the actual relationship surface level or specifically transactional to protect themselves. When you're in relationship with this, especially if you're anxious, you can take it really personally. And what it does is it activates your own stuff around feeling that you need to prove yourself, around feeling like you need to chase, around feeling like if you could only prove to them that you love them, they would change or be different. So these are things to look out for. Here's the avoidant loop they get stuck in if they have not done work on themselves. It starts with longing. They want connection, they miss intimacy, they feel the ache of isolation. And so what they do then is they approach and they reach out. They flirt, they test the waters, they build a connection with somebody, and they develop closeness. Things start to feel warm, the emotional intimacy starts to build, and then suddenly it gets too much and it pops like a circuit breaker. And when it pops, they go into a mode of panic. They feel engulfed, they feel obligation, they feel pressure, they feel unsafe, and then they withdraw. They push away, they run their distancing strategies, they ghost, they shut down, they convince themselves that this connection isn't real. They then start to feel relief, coming back to themselves. But then in that relief, as that runs its course, they go all the way back to longing again, full circle, all the way back to longing. And when they hit longing, they miss the connection, they miss the intimacy, they feel the ache of isolation, and they move back into approaching again, trying to build that connection. And the cycle repeats and it repeats. This is not conscious manipulation for the most part. It's a survival pattern that you are witnessing happen with somebody who has an unhealed attachment wound. What's happening is their nervous system is trying to avoid the perceived danger of intimacy, even though they crave it. So they're living with this contradiction inside of them, trying to navigate it. Knowing that can help you just remove yourself for a moment from the dynamic and not start to tether your self-worth to how they're showing up. That's the big problem that we make here that causes so much pain, is rather than being able to observe something cleanly in somebody else, we get our own identity mixed up with their actions, thinking it's a reflection of how much we are worth to that person. Right? Maybe you can relate to that. Here's a key thing to realize. If they have not done work on themselves, if they have not gone to therapy, if they have not examined this pattern and this loop, if they're not conscious of it, they're not coming back for love. They're coming back to regulate their own nervous system. It's often not because something has actually changed with them. It's because they're feeling emotionally dysregulated now, and they don't know how to soothe themselves in this isolation, so they come back to you, the anxious ex, to do it for them. Now, why are they doing that? It's because of your emotional availability. It's because you likely gave them access to your heart without real accountability. You didn't demand growth, just closeness. That made you safe. Because if you were to demand growth from them, then you actually feel like in that moment you risk losing the relationship if you are demanding that they step up to meet you at this place of secure attachment. It's like the dance might die, they might fall away. But if you can just allow them to get close enough, but not too much to where it blows them out, then there's a way in which we can kind of allow the relationship to limp along. Now, again, if you're relating to any of this is not to blame you. It's just to help you see the deeper dynamic of where you might be contributing to the dance that is ultimately having you not be able to create the fulfilling connection that you want and maybe stick around in something too long that's not good for you. So the avoidant uses you to feel valuable without having to be vulnerable. They get to feel wanted without needing to fully show up in connection with you. And they get to regulate their nervous system through your presence. But the problem with this is it's not actual intimacy. It's emotional outsourcing on their part. So here's the dance. Why does this pattern feel so familiar? It's not random. It's a trauma pattern. For the avoidant, closeness equals threat. Love equals pressure. Independence equals control. And for the anxious, closeness equals safety. Love equals chasing somebody. And anxiety equals aliveness. Think about that for a moment. The aliveness that you get from the avoidant pulling away, right? And this is not a conscious thing. Again, not something to blame yourself for, but just noticing what it does to your nervous system. And oftentimes we mistake this aliveness, this anxiety for, oh wow, this is real chemistry. This is real love. I'm feeling so much. It's like I have fireworks going off inside my body around this person. It must mean something. It's super significant, when really what's happening is it's just activating your own unhealed parts to come into play and pull you into this dance that ultimately is a loop and doesn't lead you to these deeper, devoted places of relationship and love and connection. So when they come back, it activates the hope of, well, maybe this time it will work. And what's actually happening is most likely it's a replay. It's not a rebirth. It's not a new relationship that's about to form here. So if the avoidant is coming back to you and they have not taken responsibility for the dance that they've engaged in, if they are not talking about the ways in which they have created the distance, the things they've noticed about themselves, maybe the work that they've done on themselves with a therapist or a coach, and actually examined these patterns, it's safe to assume they're going to play that same pattern out again and invite you into this very magnetic dance that does not lead to the outcome that you want. How do you shift out of this? How do you create the dynamic so that it actually starts to collapse with this person? The dynamic depends on you doing a couple things. One, chasing. So as long as you're chasing them, the dynamic will keep going, right? So they come into your life and now suddenly you lose your center. You might abandon yourself, move towards them. That's keeping the dynamic alive. It's alive from them distancing themselves consistently, trying to prove that you are worthy of their love, prove that you're the right person for them. And it's also upheld by them withholding. But when you move into a place of secure attachment where you stop abandoning yourself, going over there, inside of their nervous system, trying to figure out what they want, who they are, what's happening with them, you stop reacting to their behavior. You stop abandoning yourself. You start making choices that are based on your own internal alignment, your own internal values, not reacting to the cocktail of emotions that are getting flared up in your nervous system. And what happens is the avoidant can't play this game anymore with you. They have to either evolve to meet you in secure connection, or they're going to exit. There's a doorway that's opening up here. You can see the dance starting to occur because they're coming back into your life. And you can either engage in that same dance, which will feel familiar. It will feel like something that you know and something that you can do. But deep down, you know that it leaves you maybe with a feeling of ick or a feeling of disconnection from yourself. Or you can use it as an opportunity to grow and to propel you into deeper connection with yourself. So how do you begin to shift from anxious to secure using this situation? Number one, you have to grieve the fantasy of them. You have to let go of who you have been hoping that they become. You have to let go of the version you believe where you need them. And what this does is it clears a space for the reality of the situation to emerge and your own self-respect to come online. And you also have to become attuned with yourself now as well. And what that looks like is asking yourself a few questions. What am I feeling now in my body? Not what's happening over there. What am I feeling? What do I need? What do I want to see happen in this situation? What do I want for myself? These questions, they bring you back from being over there, spinning around, trying to figure them out, to coming back to yourself so that you can anchor into your own experience, make yourself the center of your own emotional universe. And a big piece here is also slowing down the dance, slowing down the cycle, which means you are getting out of being reactive and you're moving into being responsive and intentional with how you're showing up in this connection. So that means you are increasing the space between stimulus and response. Stimulus, they do something, they pull away, they come back, they make some promises. Rather than jumping right in, believing them, or suddenly getting preoccupied with what they're doing, when they're going to text next, or thinking that you're going to text them, slow that down. Slow that down. Take some space. Be with the tension that is being created within your body, because through tension is how we actually change. Tension is the off-ramp to all of our internal loops that we get stuck in. When we can be with tension rather than try to relieve it, we actually escape the familiar and we start to move into unfamiliar territory, which is often associated with growth and health that will get us out of the dysfunction. Your job during this time is not to focus on the relationship, it's to learn how to build internal safety. And internal safety might look like routines that you create for yourself. It might look like breath work, movement, dance, get out of your head, get into your body. Notice where you are giving your inner child over to them to take care of, where your inner child is looking for them to suddenly provide safety, provide direction, provide security. That's a subtle transaction that we often do in relationships that is not healthy. Friend and divorce coach Nick Mima said that we get into relationships and we hand over our inner child to the other person, hoping that they'll be a better parent to that inner child than we can be. This is where we abandon ourselves. This is what abandoning ourselves look like. So how can you become the parent for the little one on the inside that the child can begin to truly trust and feel safe with in this experience? And then finally, you want to lead with boundaries, not ultimatums, which means if they come back, you don't collapse and you also don't get demanding. Maybe you slow down and just ask yourself, why now? What's actually changed here, right? Can they meet me where I'm at? Can they meet me where I'm at and what I want? And being in that truth is powerful, because what it allows you to do is ask the important questions where if they say no and they can't meet you or don't want to grow to this level of relationship that your heart is longing for, then they have qualified themselves out of your life. Avoidance may come back, but you do not have to receive them with open arms. And it's important to make sure that you are in relationship with what might be happening. What most likely is happening, unless they have healed, unless they've done work on themselves, is they are trying to loop you back into their own unconscious pattern. And you have a choice about whether you dive back into that or not. And the more that you can use this as an opportunity to stay connected to yourself and stay connected to the values and the things that you want and slow down, the more that you can really start to heal through this practice and move deeper into trusting yourself, trusting life, and also learning more discernment around who to trust that you bring into your life. So if this video spoke to you in some way and it lands, go ahead and please leave a comment, like it, subscribe to the channel if you are wanting more videos. And if you are in this situation right now and you feel like you're becoming disoriented and you're looking for some support to help you do the deeper work and move from anxious into secure attachment, feel free to reach out. I've been doing this work for 12 years with people, and I love walking next to people on this journey because it is some of the most important work that we can do that impacts all areas of your life. There's a link below this video to an application page, and we can start a conversation there. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.